This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Hi there, Blue Nosies, and it's Wednesday, so it's Watto, and I'm here to tell you about all things Birmingham City, and firstly, an apology that the Tilton Talk show Monday didn't appear. There was an unfortunate situation with one of our crew members, which thankfully has been resolved, and everything will return to normal next week, except it will be on Wednesday, and that's to enable us to bring in a very special guest, which, if you keep your eyes open on Twitter, particularly, or Facebook, you'll get to hear before we go out who that special guest is. Now then, since I spoke to you last, we've gone through two games, and we'll start with Saturday. We went to Mansfield, where they were getting a bit bullshit. They was going to tell us they were going to do us and all the rest of it. Well, fair play to them. They probably came as near to anybody other than Charlton to doing that. We still outplayed them from beginning to end. Still had 70% of the play. But unfortunately, we only scored one goal and conceded a very badly defended free kick. Now, we're in a situation where every drop point is a disappointment. It's not condemning, but at the same time, it's a disappointment because let's face it, we can be as humble as we like to everybody else, but between ourselves, we do expect us to win every game. I know it's not going to happen, and Saturday was one of the days when it didn't happen. And you have to give Mansfield a little bit of credit. They fought like maniacs, and defended, luckily at times, but they put buddies there, and we've only got ourselves to blame. We don't finish off enough of our chances. We had enough to score 4 or 5, but wrong decisions basically. We were short. We in terms of personnel. Hansen was missing, and we still got Righty missing, and people that could have changed the dimensions of what. Basically, we tried the same thing, or we didn't have anything different to bring on, which we changed things, but basically we went about our business in the same way, and it became inevitable that we weren't going to score. We just, in the end, we didn't look like scoring. They defended against us fairly well, and we never looked like really breaking it down, and certainly never creating a position where we couldn't miss. It was sort of half chances all the time. Now, like the week before at Lincoln, those half chances went in the net. This time they didn't. Williamson scored a great goal, finished off a break from Stansfield. He slipped it out to Keshi Anderson, who cut in, pulled the ball back to Wilhelmsson, who smashed it in the net, which gave us the lead. And to be honest, you thought, well, the floodgates are open now. It's quite early on in the piece, and we should wrap 3 or 4 up against these. But we didn't. We should have done, but we didn't. And then they had this free kick. It was right on the edge of the box, but people shouldn't. When people score, against you in that position, it's one of two things. One, they've done something extraordinarily brilliant, or the defence has made a mistake. And the defence was the wall, and the wall opened up like a can of beans, leaving gaps all over the place. And the guy, they all jumped, and of course they hadn't got the old door stop behind, so that went underneath and through. And poor keeper had no chance. He made a pretty good effort getting there, but he crept inside the right hand post, and 1-1. And for a good 10 or 15 minutes after that, they looked like they might add to it. But fortunately, our defence stood solid. Um, uh, Ryan Alsop was solid in goal, and the two guys at the middle of the defence were pretty solid. And we overcame that storm. And by the time the game finished, we were still on top, but still could even when we were going to open goal 5 yards, um, 5 yards from goal, old uh, Ollie Ollie Lyndon Dykes rather swiveled on it and didn't swivel enough, and he put the ball past the post. Now, if anybody had needed a goal, then it's him. People are starting to, there's always somebody in there. And to be fair, he's probably the weakest person in the group at the moment. He isn't coming up to expectations. That don't make him a bad player all of a sudden, but he's making a run for his own back by really not looking the part, and he needs a goal. Now, what we don't need is people to run him down, because we ain't going to sell him. I mean, it's highly unlikely, put it that way. So what we want is him to come good. Now, if he doesn't, he doesn't. But it's no good slagging him off, because he's not going to be replaced, I wouldn't think. Now, it might be that they're all replaceable. If Brian Clough used to say about, ironically, the manager of Mansfield, his son Nigel, he's my number 9 until I find somebody better. And that's the way professional football managers are. He's our third choice striker, and until we find somebody better that we can afford and purchase and get rid of him, because that's part of the deal as well. Until that time comes, he will be our third choice striker. Now, if he wants to be better than that, again, that's up to him, and we want him to be better than that, because we we're relying on we're relying on two people up front who are probably the best in the league, but they don't score every week, and they don't. And we finished up with Dykes being sent on for um, uh, Stansfield, who had been earmarked for coming off at that point, regardless of the situation. So we needed somebody to replace him. Now, if Dykes isn't good enough to replace him, we're in trouble, because we haven't got another striker who's fit and firing. Now, as I say, it's no good just saying, "Oh, he's no good. Get rid of him." He's got to improve. He's got to find some form, and encouraging him is the only way. I mean, the manager's in charge. He will do his best to improve his game, inspire him, or whatever. That's what he's paid for. And let's get off that track. And it's not only if it wasn't Dykes, it'd be somebody else. Suddenly it gets a hat trick next week, and Dykes is established in the group, and somebody, oh well, he's no good. We'll get rid of him. No, don't do it. Anyway, So 2 points drop. We're only 3 points clear. Games in hand on other people. There was a few other people played the other night, um, and have now played. Quite a number of teams have played one more game than us, and we're still on course to break that 100 point record by plenty. To be honest, um, now then, we moved on to last night, which is basically all I was going to talk about because as I say, the talk show didn't appear, so um, we've got no feedback from Saturday's game, so that's why I've shoved it in. Now, last night we had basically a very historical game. The the idea of Birmingham City playing a cup match against another team's under 21 side in a competition that when we won it didn't have that kind of thing. Now, there's been a lot of talk on the internet about we shouldn't be playing these sides. They shouldn't be in the competition. Well, they are, and there's a reason for that. And it ain't about getting um, young players experienced into if you believe that rubbish. What it's about is the teams in this half of the football league need to play games. It's their only real form of income. Every time they play a game, they've got a chance to make some money. When they don't, they haven't. And the players get extra appearance money and extra bonuses for progressing in the competition because there's money in this competition who pay them. Oh, you've moved on to the round of 16, have some cash. And that's the way it works. And the more games you play in that level, the better off you are. Now, there aren't enough teams in the football league um, to uh, for there to be enough fixtures. So they came up with the idea of putting the under 21s from the Premier League in. Now, whether that's a good idea or not, years gone by, they've tried uh, allowing members of the National League to make up the numbers. So the National League came in, and the, that didn't really do anything for anybody. It probably did more for the National League teams who perhaps got a league team to come to their ground. Um, but that idea died to death. So that's the reason we have these teams, because we need some teams in there. The competition is big enough without those extra teams. Now then, so what happened? Well, we put we made 7 changes, put a very, very shadowy side out, but with still with Williamson there and the two strikers up front who need some shooting practice after Saturday, I can tell you that. Um, Clara, they changed the goalkeeper. Um, the rest, were was a shadow squad. Now, interesting. I've got to be honest. I've never seen um, a match of this type before. Uh, not in its entirety. And I was fascinated. I mean, I've seen highlights of games, and I've watched live games for a short period of time. But they're watching Crawley play Tottenham's under 21s. Is not what I'd call entertainment, to be honest. But obviously, with the Blues playing, I watched it very, very carefully to see what we didn't know. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. Um, Fulham had done very well against Warsaw, um, and they had beaten um, Shrewsbury. So you're thinking, well, if they've done that, and we are in a position where we have to beat them. I mean, if we didn't beat them, we were out. Um, it made for something of a um, an interesting fixture. Anyway, we created we had the ball and created loads of chances, and they couldn't get out of their penalty area hardly. But the ball didn't go in the net, and then eventually somebody managed to get Williamson with a wonderful little pass into Stansfield, who fired home comfortably, made it 1-0, and you thought, oh well, thank goodness for that. We'll cruise now. But ironically, this lad Robbo for Fulham, uh, big lad, good footballer, and he cut in and beat a couple, and some of the tackling from the Blues defenders were a bit woeful. Anyway, he found himself on the just outside the box on his right foot, and he hit this shot into the top left-hand corner like a bullet. And poor old Peacock Fowler, yeah, they'd have had to bring the goals up to stop this. It was a wonderful goal, and you're thinking, oh no, here we go. They haven't actually set foot. They literally had not set foot in our penalty area when this goal went in, and they still hadn't because he scored from outside the box. And you start thinking, oh, that's all we need, struggle against this lot. And we did for a while, and we started creating chances again and not taking them, and eventually a repeat little 1-2 on the edge of the box again from Williamson put Stansfield with a shooting chance, and really a half hit shot, um, crossed the keeper, hit the inside of the post, and went in. So it was 2-1 at half time, and you're thinking, oh, please. And then the second half, we scored after about 15 minutes, the second half, which was a wonder goal from Yokoyama, who beat the guy for pace down the line and looked like he was going to cross it. Put his foot on the ball, came back inside. The defender slid out of. He nearly had to pay to come back in. He was so duped, and Yokohama slammed the ball in past the keeper from a narrow angle to make it 3-1. And from that moment on, you could see these Fulham lads who put on a decent display, to be honest. There was obviously some decent footballers amongst them, but, that was the writing on the wall. And then we just scored another 4, virtually at will. We kept taking the ball off them too easily. And the fourth goal was a wonderful passing movement between between Stansfield, Williamson, who set up Archie May, goodness me, set up May for the tap in. Now he needed a goal. He's been brooding. He needed a goal, and that was good to see. Like Yokoyama, who has been, to me, very. You're thinking, well, if this kid could finish, if this kid could, end up with an end product, he'd be a real asset. Well, he did last night, and he scored the 5th goal. Again, he played Stansfield in down the left. He tried to cross it, and it spooned up in the air off the fullback's foot, and Yokoyama followed the ball and caught it before he hit the ground. It was a wonderful volley. It screamed past the goalkeeper. And I made it for those 2 brilliant pieces of trickery and finishing power. He was my man of the match. And we got another one through Keshi Anderson. And finally, our man, Lyndon Dykes, finishes off another great move. He's got his name on the score sheet, visibly lifted by that, and the crowd were all behind him. And it was what the team, the squad needed for that man to be on the score sheet, because that's what he's there for. He's not anything. Very pretty. He's there to put the ball in the net from time to time and use his power and strength. Well, he did last night, so he's off the mark. That's a weight lifted off his shoulders, and hopefully, he starts performing as we want him to. So, where are we Saturday? Nowhere. Sutton United. And by the way, you Blues fans, it's the Sutton in London, not the one in Sutton Coldfield. All right? Yeah. Please. Now, I've been to Sutton's ground. I'm not going Saturday. I'm going to watch it on the telly because it only holds about 6,000, and it's a non-league ground. It really is a non-league ground. Couple of stands, one main stand, and then the rest is just railings around the ground. Bit of a stand down one side, but it's so far from the pitch. You don't want to stand in there. You really want to be on the railings around the ground. But the Blues fans won't be there. They'll be in a stand behind one of the goals, and it's. I remember it's a long way away from anywhere. To get a bus from the centre of London to Sutton, it costs 2 hours or something. So enjoy your journey, Blue Noses. If you're lucky enough to get a ticket for this national game, which is live on BBC One on Sunday at 12:30, and make sure you've all paid your licences, because they won't let you watch if you haven't. Okay. So don't forget, Tilton Talk Show next Wednesday. Okay, 6:30, usual time. Big surprise. Don't miss it. God bless you all.